Not yet. Now this record is one of my favorites simply for the message. I feel like it's one of those things that needs to be talked about. Now, I can admit that it's not musically my most ambitious record musically, but the message I feel like is definitely up there with some of the best songs that I've written. So this was sometime last year. My homie called me. He's a rapper as well. He was basically like, yo, we do all this shit ourselves. The only thing that's stopping us is that one cosign, or to get on that one blog or whatever it may be. And he was like, the ceiling that we're at, the only way for us to break through it is by looking for management and getting management and finding people that have those relationships. And the whole time that we're having this conversation, I'm just thinking to myself like, nah, I don't really agree, because I personally don't feel like I've exhausted myself all the way yet. Like, the music business is 20% music and 80% everything else. And I do feel like I've put 100% into the creativity and crafting this music. So that's that 20%. But in terms of the overall brand that is HDBeenDope, I don't think that I've ever really stepped on the gas full throttle, went 100% with this shit, So I couldn't really agree with where my homie was at with it. But as I got off the phone, I was just thinking to myself like, yo, this is easily a song right here. I can just make this record from my homie's mindset and still be able to drop gems without coming across as too preachy or something like that. And that's exactly what I attempted to do. So that first verse is me writing as though I thought the way my homie thought, but was actually me. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of me playing myself with another person's mind, basically. And in that first verse, one of the lines that I really like is, "Tell Rosenberg it only takes a tweet to change my life." So my homie Erickson introduced my music to Yo over at DJ Booth, the writer. And Yo hit me up, so he calls me. He's like, yo, but I gotta ask you about this line. You said tell Rosenberg it only takes a tweet to change my life. Do you really believe that? And I just started dying laughing, because I was just thinking to myself like, yo, many people probably believe that's my actual mindset. And it's really far from it. The reason why I wrote that line is because in 2014, Rosenberg actually tweeted one of my videos, which was Know Us. And me, even back then, I think I had to be 19 back then. I want to say maybe 18. So back then, when he tweeted that, like prior to him tweeting that, I was that kid that's thinking, if Rosenberg tweets my music, if such and such blog cosigns my music, if this rapper cosigns me, I'm gonna be out of here. That was kind of my mentality. But after having Rosenberg tweet that, it kind of like reality set in, like, oh, okay, so these guys aren't gonna change your life. So the reason why I wrote that line, tell Rosenberg it only takes a tweet to change my life, is because I was writing from the perspective of somebody that feels like I already did everything myself. And I feel like when you have that mindset, you start looking at everybody else. You start pointing fingers like, yo, the reason why I'm not where I'm supposed to be is because this guy doesn't want to do this, or this guy isn't doing that. And me as an artist now, I've kind of 180 that whole mindset, because I can't front, like, yeah, 2012 me, 2013 me, I was probably like that, I was probably thinking more so of like, yo, this blog needs to post me, this person needs to listen to my music. But now I have a whole different mindset, and I'll explain that as I go further. But another thing that made me realize this song was being taken so literal is my homegirl hit me up. She was basically like, yo, you got a baby on the way? Because in that second verse, I say, my baby hungry, plus I just learned I got a baby and my lady tummy. And my homegirl really thought like, yo, wait, you got a girl pregnant? You didn't even let me know. But that first verse is myself written with somebody else's mind. And then that second verse is basically carrying on that first verse, but just taking myself out of it. Just using the mindset more so. Now, moving on to the last verse, which is written from the perspective of myself currently as I wrote the song, including the chorus is also my perspective. But there's so many lines in that last verse that I love and would like to talk about, but I'm going to focus on two And the first is frame is opaque when hating, we cannot see your greatness. So people say that there's a light inside you, and I truly believe that, but I also believe that in order for that light to really shine, you have to work on yourself. And you can't work on yourself to the degree and the magnitude that you should be if you're worried about everybody else. If you're worried about, pointing fingers and saying what these guys aren't doing or what these guys are doing that's stopping you from doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just stopping you. So frame is opaque when hating means that your mind frame is opaque, meaning the light can't shine through it because you're too worried about what everybody else is doing. So since you're worried about everybody else, you can't tap into your own greatness. Therefore, the world won't ever see that light that lives within you. And then the second line is so what do you do when you're in it and you don't got the skill, and now you caught what you wanted and you're still chasing still? Something like that. I butchered my own line. But anyhow, basically what that means is like that mindset of just being like, yo, the reason why I'm not on is because of this person, or these dudes are sleeping on me, or this, that, and the third, you know what I mean? Just keep pointing the fingers. What I'm wondering is, so now that you've been telling everybody, yo, I'm the greatest, blah, 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 y'all ain't put me on. Let's say you become that overnight sensation. Now that you got it, that work that you should have been putting in instead of blaming everybody else is now going to catch up to you. Because now it's like, all right, well, here you are, you got this huge platform, but you realize like, damn, I didn't put in enough work, essentially. You know what I mean? I'm not prepared for this the way I should have been if I wasn't so worried about what everybody else was doing, essentially. Like, it's such a push and pull kind of mentality, but I really just believe that just work on yourself, work towards being great, and people are gonna fucking catch on. You know what I mean? It's such a hard thing to think because it's so untangible in a way, but I really just believe, man, just work tirelessly on yourself and really question yourself. Are you putting in 100%? Like, there's a lot of times we say like, yeah, I'm doing everything I could, but I'm sure there's more that could be done. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you feel that you've exhausted all your powers, like everything that you could have done, then maybe what you're doing isn't what you should be doing, because there's always more to be done. And that's just how I feel about it. All right, so that's the story behind Not Yet. What I want you guys to do is let me know how you feel about that mentality that I was just speaking about, whether you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear y'all thoughts. Also, now that you know the story behind the song, I want to know what you think about the song, before you heard this and then after. And yeah, let's get into this beat now, man. It's pretty simple, but I'm gonna break the beat down for you guys right now. All right, let's get into the breakdown of the beat for Not Yet. Now this is not a complicated beat at all, and that's exactly why I said it's not my most musically ambitious record, but I'll walk through all the steps with you guys. So it really just started off with this sample here. I found this piano sample, chopped it up, and this is what you ended up getting. Let me highlight here. Nothing too crazy. It was just found a sample, chopped it up, threw that there. Once I had that, I just had the sample, and I was already doing the like, not yet. I knew that's where I was going with it, so I was just like, all right, I just gotta figure out drums that are gonna fit this kind of mood that I'm going for, basically. And we just start here with the kicks. This is basic drum pattern. It's pretty simple, as I said. Then we have the rim. You add both of those, let's say. Alright, cool. Now, hi-hats. One thing I like to do, I like to find hi-hat loops because I just love the actual realness to hi-hats being played. Like, I can duplicate it by actually, programming it in the computer, but I just love when it's actually somebody playing it and I could just sample that. So these hi-hats are just a loop that I took and then just chopped them up to fit the tempo of this. And what that does, it gives it a natural swing. So now we just got drums, all our percussion right here. And there's just a natural swing to that now. So without it, just regular, and then that, whoo, that swing is just ill. Then we have this open hat just to end off. Very simple, as I said. And then what's in here? And that's really the verse. There's like some drum changes and things like that, but for the most part, that's the verse. And we have a sub. I'm able to show you guys the preset this time around because it's not too much going on in this project. But basically, it's Sub-Zero 808. That's the name of the kind of plugin, and it's in Contact. It's basically Contact player or whatever. And Sub-01, pardon. That's the one I used. And it pretty much just repeats the whole song, if I'm not mistaken. A couple changes here and there, but for the most part repeats. Now we could go on to the chorus. Couple things that get added in this hook, and that's one, this stab that's right here. So we got that in there. Yeah, so you throw everything together and it sounds like this. Alright, and last thing, what I was talking about in the last breakdown video, Steps of Yesterday, for Love, I was talking about actually recording on a different session and then bringing those vocals into my track out session in order to kind of like mix the beat around the vocals, or, you know, add stops or things like that. And yeah, this is basically an example of that. Here's the actual vocals that I use to kind of track around, and I think these are kind of like before I even had words to the hook. So let's play the hook.
Moving by yourself and they still rest.
You think you got it?
Not yet. Take your time. Something get your mixes, wait your mind.
Thinking you got it?
Not yet. Have some patience. Something down with a little time wasted.
Alright, so that concludes the breakdown for the beat Not Yet off my mixtape Peace Be the Journey. Hopefully you got a little insight. I know there wasn't too much to learn in terms of the actual production of it, but, you know, hopefully you took something away. And yeah, man, that's everything.
It seems like everybody's sleeping on me. I peep the time, it seems that motherfucker speeding on me. I need a sign, and listen, when I say a sign, I mean divine intervention. Better get somebody with a sign.